Welcome to the MultiREBAR RC Tutorial 4. This tutorial will provide an overview of how to detail nonlinear varying bar ranges. Please allow at least 10 minutes to complete this tutorial. Let's begin by starting a brand new drawing in AutoCAD. We can use the multi.dwt as we are working in metric, and then select Open. We are now presented with the multi-draft drawing setup. We can accept the default values of A1, 1 to 20, board, and then select OK. We can also edit the file name to rc2ut4 so that we can refer back to it later. To assist with this tutorial, we've supplied the concrete outline used in this tutorial on page 2 of the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library. We can access the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library flyout from the MultiREBAR toolbar, and then scroll along to page 2 as shown. Once we are presented with the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library dialog box, we can select Member 22. The Import Member dialog box now appears. This dialog box is covered in depth in Tutorial 2. For this tutorial, we can accept the default values and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We can now select anywhere in our drawing to place our outline. Once placed, the MultiREBAR Member Summary dialog box appears, and again, this dialog box is covered in depth in Tutorial 2. For this tutorial, we will rename the title to Slab 1 and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. When prompted to place a member title on the drawing, we can select Yes and then place our member title anywhere on the drawing as shown. MultiREBAR now zooms to our bar list and is asking us to select a line where we wish to start detailing our new member from. You will notice small magenta tags to the left of the bar list, so let's start ours at the top of the bar list by selecting the first tag. MultiREBAR then zooms us back to our previous view. Again, the MultiREBAR Member Library workflow and features are covered in more depth in Tutorial 2. We are now ready to place our first nonlinear varying range using MultiREBAR. If we move across to the MultiREBAR toolbar, we can locate the Varying Bars flyout. As you can see, there are two main Varying Bars icons, linear and nonlinear. For this tutorial, we will be using the nonlinear icon. The Varying Bar dialog box will allow us to create a range of varying bars that vary in more than one direction. It also allows you to type in the first and last bar of a linear varying range, and this is covered in another tutorial. Let's select a shape type 11 from the bar shape pop list. We can now set the A-leg for this bar as varies, and the B-leg as a fixed dimension as shown. Once we are happy with our settings, we can select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. MultiREBAR now prompts us to select objects or our varying range boundary. The boundary edges determine the extents of the varying bars. The boundary can be made from arcs, lines or polylines. To simplify this example, we have formed the cover line boundary into a polyline. Once we have selected our boundary edges, MultiREBAR is asking for the start and then the endpoint of our varying bar range. Our varying range has now been placed, and a label is waiting for us to select where we wish to place it in our drawing. Once we have selected the label position, the bar quantity dialog box will pop up. MultiREBAR is always looking for more efficient use of bars, and in this case is asking if we wish to save bars by using nominal spacing. We will accept the saving and then select OK. We can now accept the values in the main bar quantity dialog box and then select OK. The Next View bar dialog box now appears, and this gives us the opportunity to choose the leg of the bar that we wish to see and plan along our range marker. We can see our fixed B leg dimension displayed in the dialog box, so we can accept the A leg view. We can now select anywhere along our range marker to place the next view of our A leg. You will notice that the bar will snap along the range marker at the bar center spacing. We have now placed our first non-linear varying range bar using MultiREBAR. You will notice that bars are reused in different locations along the range, and that a MultiREBAR varying range envelope has also been shown to indicate the boundary of our varying range. We can now easily repeat what we have just done to place our second non-linear varying range. Just like before, we can move across to the MultiREBAR toolbar to locate the varying bars flyout, and then select the non-linear varying range icon. We can accept the values in the varying bar dialog box, and then select OK. Again, we can select our outer boundary edges, the start point of our range, and then the end point of our non-linear varying range marker. We can place our label, accept the rationalized nominal spacing, and then select OK. We can also accept the values presented in the main bar quantity dialog box and also select OK. We can accept the A leg view in our Next View bar dialog box and select OK. Then place our next view anywhere along our non-linear varying range marker to finish the command, and also our second non-linear varying range using MultiREBAR. Now that we have placed our non-linear varying ranges on the drawing, let's take a look at the information that has simultaneously been generated in our bar list. To view the bar list, we can scroll along the Bar List toolbar until we arrive at the View Bar Lists icon. Once there, if we release, we are then presented with our bar list and the View Bar List dialog box. This can be moved to view more of the bar list. We can also use the Zoom In button on the View Bar List dialog box to inspect our bar list closer. Select the Zoom In button on the dialog box and then select 2 points to indicate our zoom window. Now that we are zoomed in, we can see that all of the bar information has been filled in. We can also see where bars have been reused, and that this has been reflected in the total quantities for each mark. If we select OK on the View Bar List dialog box, we will be returned to our previous view. To get the drawing ready for plotting, we can turn off all of our reference information, such as cover and varying bar envelopes, which may have been useful when detailing, but not required in our final plot drawing. We can do this by simply accessing the MultiREBAR Drawbars toolbar and then scrolling along until we find our icon called Plot Layers. As you can see, there are many options that we can toggle on or off, but we will accept the default values and then select the Off button at the bottom of the dialog box. You can now see that the drawing looks a lot less cluttered and is ready for plotting. Congratulations! You have now completed MultiREBAR Tutorial 4 and can now draw non-linear varying bars using MultiREBAR.